South Africa has always been a place that's existed with great intrigue in my imagination, and as such, it was a perfect place to start my journey. I spent 2 weeks in country and found that it had an expansiveness, a vastness, dramatic landscapes from ocean to cliffside. It was incredibly elemental, bringing thunderstorms, naturally stunning landscapes. There was a beauty and diversity in that landscape, and certainly it's a resource-rich place known for its diamonds and its gold. There is a cultural diversity to match, with local cultures in abundance and languages, including Zulu, Xhosa, and then, of course, the Dutch and English colonial presence and legacy that brought mining to the center of an economy and apartheid as a very difficult political reality that's caused a lot of tension and hurt upon the people and the land. It's a place of political complexity and tensions, I think, largely due to the legacy of apartheid. And certainly the aftermath has been inspired, but also brought its challenges. And it's an incredible blend of extremes. I mean, flying into Cape Town or Johannesburg, you see these slum areas with corrugated tin and pretty desperate living situations. And then you also see some of the most luxurious nature safari camps and beautiful big homes that are surrounded by walls and barbed wire. I wanted to touch on a couple of highlights that stand out for me as emblems of my time in South Africa and how I'll think of it moving forward. And the first is around the generosity and warmth that I found ubiquitously. The second is around the significant challenges that face the country, but how they're met with optimism and opportunity and hope. The third is around real rich cultural heritage, but some of the difficulties in making that heritage relevant moving forward. And finally, I can't emphasize enough the vastness and the beauty of an awe-inspiring landscape pretty much everywhere that I went. So on the generosity side, I had the great pleasure of staying with the Holiday family who welcomed me into their home. And when my bag didn't arrive from South Africa Air, I ended up using the clothing of Nikki, the wife and mother of the house. They gave me use of their car called Midge, or AKA the Little Gray Mare, which I drove to Swaziland and throughout Mpumalanga. They introduced me to the incredible talent of the South Africans in their braai and grilling, the difference between just now, and now. And I enjoyed several conversations around their dinner table for a family that, without having known me before, but with connections through their brother, who's a colleague of mine, opened me with such warmth and hospitality. And that's something that I experienced with others as well. And it seems like in a vast country that has harsh landscapes, the generosity of others is essential and has been over the years for survival, really. Everybody in South Africa that I met were incredibly open and candid with sharing their perspectives of the fierce love they have for their country and loyalty for this beautiful and astounding place. And also the real challenges that they see their future holds, the legacy that apartheid has left. Certainly limited opportunities for white populations where there's a quota system, the corruption at high levels of government. That said, I met several youth and college students who have a great optimism about their future and a love of country, which was refreshing to see. I had the chance to interview a Yale World Fellow called Mate Tonyati, who works for Microsoft as the managing director. And he and his colleagues talked of what they're trying to do in education through technology and in helping to make government programs more efficient through technology. The third highlight really is this rich cultural heritage and a tapestry of pretty diverse traditions. I had the chance to visit an Indabele community, which is in Mpumalanga district. It was about a 3-hour drive northeast of Johannesburg. And I spent the day in a couple of different communities. I picked up a woman named Fakile, who's a real entrepreneur in the space, wanting to promote and sell the Indebele craft and artisan goods. Fakile introduced me to Esther Mahlangu and also the Indebele Foundation, which is very iconic for kind of geometric patterns and bright colors. They paint the facades of their houses and make dolls in the tradition of the Indebele women themselves, who wear a marriage blanket after they're married and have many different layers of beads that come as gifts for marriage. So it struck me in the Indebele Foundation gift shop that the level of quality of all the goods was not comparable. It was not really marketed as well as it could be. And since tourism has been down in the last few years, they've really struggled to be able to sell their work and make what they're doing commercially viable, because beadwork especially is very expensive, and the raw materials are expensive and can be difficult to get a hold of. So you certainly need an ongoing market. I spent time with an organization called Africa Craft Trust. Lauren Barkiem was generous with her time, as well as her colleagues Musa and Kate, who really introduced to me the importance of an organization such as theirs, which brings quality control, product development, to make sure that the designs that are traditional can be met with commercially viable, relevant product design that is aesthetically interesting in a modern context. And they also work in business skills development and training, and to make sure that people know how to keep books, how to be responsible, how to value your time, and be consistent in your business processes. And finally, in connecting to markets both domestically and abroad, and working in marketing skills. And that business element, that business factor, I found important to make sure that these traditions can have a place moving forward, and are viable and aren't just commoditized or made into kind of a cheap tourist gimmick, but something that really reflects the beauty and the integrity that I think the South African traditional arts carry. The final highlight was just this absolute vastness and beauty and power of awe-inspiring landscape that I think is held deep in the heart of everybody who goes to South Africa and certainly who lives there. It's generally a pretty dry country and kind of sun-soaked, and in the afternoons in certain areas the storm clouds will accumulate, the heat will come together, and you get the most powerful, raw, elemental thunder and lightning that you can see passing in isolated pockets. I had the chance to visit the Botanical Garden in Cape Town, and the biosphere of that area is completely unique and has some of the most beautiful species and varieties of plants and flowers. Wandering around the top of Table Mountain, I felt like I was in this netherworld, and I'm sure in a different time of day, or if the clouds hadn't been rolling in, it feels like a completely different space. So the diversity of even the same places based on the weather patterns seemed pretty astounding. South Africa is a place that I think you could have a lifetime exploring and understanding differently. I hope that I have the chance to someday return, but my 2 weeks have been very impactful and a wonderful way to start my journey.